almost everybody in the world has probably seen the blowout yesterday between Donald Trump, President Trump, JD Vance, and Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. It was wild TV. It was it was riveting. It was historical. It was crazy. I want to approach this from a little bit different angle than probably you're going to see. You're going to see people on the right blasting Zelensky, and you're going to see people on the more lefter side blasting Trump. I want to focus on Zelensky himself right now and what he did and how he did it, because I think it's really important. First of all, this man was stressed to the gills. Just look at him coming into the meeting. Just take a look at him. Watch him while he was in the meeting. The man was stressed from head to toe. You can see it all over his face and body. That's a very important thing. You have to understand the context a little bit of this. This man, Zelensky, Trump insulted this guy flat out, calling him a comedian and a dictator, which was kind of rich in this. It's Trump's art of the deal, understandable, but it's a little bit rich considering that you could make a argument that the man is a dictator, but of course the man on the other side of the table they're trying to meet with to stop this war, Vladimir Putin, is a dictator. Clearly, the man's been in power for over a quarter of a century, and with Russian elections. Okay, so that's kind of silly. Zelensky was invaded. There's some things that are murky in this war. The fact that Russia, whatever their reasons, I'm not saying they didn't have their reasons. It's a whole nother matter. But the fact of the matter is they did invade a sovereign country. That's a fact. Zelensky had the civilians in his country, Mariupol and many other areas. The Russians purposely attacked civilians as a matter of warfare. I think that's pretty well established.
With Russia's military advance stalled, its troops in disarray, and thousands of them killed, according to estimates by U.S. officials, Russian forces are now going after civilians, knowingly. In Mariupol, Ukraine's military posting this video of hundreds of people who'd been taking shelter in the basement of a theater. In front and in back were banners in Russian reading "Children," big enough to be visible from the sky. Yesterday, Russia bombed it anyway. But tonight, officials say the shelter remained intact. In Chernihiv, Russia struck an apartment building. Among the casualties was an American citizen. No indication the building was targeted. And in Kyiv, firefighters scrambled to rescue survivors after yet another, apparently indiscriminate attack. British intelligence reports Russia is using older, less precise weapons and is resorting to older, cruder tactics, including trying to starve out Kyiv.
And that is not what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, even there are rules even in warfare. That's what they have Geneva Convention and all sorts of rules for. There are rules even in warfare. And going after civilians is not cool. But that is a way that he wages war and doesn't seem to, there's protest about that in some quarters, but not widespread as I think it should be. All right. The other thing that has happened coming into this meeting with Zelensky, and one of the reasons where there's all of this war inside, I would call it, that Putin broke ceasefires. So this was mentioned in the Baier interview. He mentioned this later after the blowout with Trump. He did an interview with Fox's Baier, and he mentioned that Putin has broken, he said, I think he said 25 ceasefires. I don't know what the number is, but clearly Putin, from my understanding of reading the news, getting a feel for that, is it true? It sounds like it's true that Putin has indeed broken many ceasefires in war. So you have an understanding of a little bit of where Zelensky's coming from. He was asking for security guarantees, and Trump understandably doesn't want to give them to him, but you can understand where he's coming from if you have a history with a man who's breaking ceasefires left and right. That what would happen in this situation? They do a mineral deal, which they were supposed to be signing yesterday at the White House, a rare earth mineral deal, Ukraine and U.S. You can have an understanding of why he may not think that's enough to guarantee security. In Trump's case, he believes that the mineral deal itself is security, because if the United States was to come in and have an interest in Ukraine like that, working with Ukraine very closely like that, then in Trump's view, Putin is much less likely to actually attack in that case. So that is a security guarantee in Trump's mind. But in Volodymyr Zelensky's mind, that is not a guarantee, because, as he pointed out with Brett Baier, U.S. companies have been in Ukraine all along during this war. And that hasn't stopped Putin from bombing the hell out of the country and doing damage there. So it's very understandable coming from his perspective.
The minerals deal did not have security guarantees listed in it.
It's a part.
The security guarantees?
This is the part in the infrastructure of security guarantees. Because, for example, President Trump said that I think so that if we will be there in some productions and etc. in minerals, that Putin will never come on this territory where we are. And I said to him, don't trust Putin. Why? I said, because it's not, we respect and we believe in strongness of the United States, but I said to him that we had more than 20 companies, American companies, big companies on the territory of Ukraine, and we had offices even on temporary occupied territories. For Putin, it doesn't matter. It's American, European company or Ukraine, it doesn't matter. He just came and occupied it. That's what I said. I think this is a great idea, how to strengthen Ukraine and how to make business between two countries, how to make additional jobs for two countries. But it's not just this will not save us.
Another thing that is clearly on Zelensky's mind is that this man has been under siege for 3 years. The country has been under siege for 3 years. And he, as leader of Ukraine, this guy came from being a comedian, as Trump's called a comedian. He was a comedian. He's a comedian in Ukraine. He has no political background, and he's a fairly young guy. And for 3 years, he has been heading up a country that is in war. Now, you let's think about the average person and putting them in that same situation. You can see why there may be a certain amount of stress in the person's life. Notice that the way that Trump and J.D. Vance went after Zelensky, would they ever think about doing that to Putin if they were in a meeting with Putin? The answer obviously is no. Why? Because Putin has nukes. Basically, he has been the aggressor in this war. He's got the nukes, and nukes cause a certain amount. It's like if somebody pulls out a gun during a meeting, you're probably not going to likely insult the person with a gun on the table. And Putin has a gun on the table. So they're not going to treat him in the same way, understandably. And that's kind of like, the 48 Rules of Power book, which I've never read, but I know there are rules of power out there. And clearly, Zelensky broke at least one of the rules of the 48 Rules of Power in the whole way that he negotiated. The problem is the man was so angry that going in and with all the things building up or whatnot, that he was not able to deal properly in the meeting, so that when little jabs were coming his way, or somebody would say something, or a journalist comes up and tells him, why are you wearing this outfit? How come you're not wearing a suit here? That's disrespectful. And then when J.D. Vance made comments to him, and they interchange, and some of JD Vance made some sharp comments to him. So he's already coming in here with all of this stuff going on inside of him, and just one little prick here will set him off. So my advice, not that he's going to be listening to this this video necessarily, but swallow your pride. I would say, come back and make the minerals deal. Take a step at a time with this thing. Just there's when you get emotional, when you get worked up like this, you lose a sense of common sense and doing things in a manner. You tend to operate out of a everybody's attacking me kind of thing. I'm going to attack back, and it just makes it worse. He has a lot of points going in his favor. Some people might disagree with that. That's fine. But I believe, and a lot of people believe, he has a lot of things. He has a moral imperative of being the country that was attacked to begin with. And so he has a lot of things going in his favor. But when you act out with these emotions and this anger, you're going to look like you're in the wrong. That's just the way the world works. It works that way. And not only will you act that way, but you'll act in an additional way to make yourself look more wrong by saying things maybe that shouldn't be said in the public, in front of the whole world, in front of the media, just giving them grist. So Zelensky has to kind of really think to himself, do I really want peace? But when there's a war going on inside of you, you are acting like you're in a war. And I think that's a lot of his problem. He is feeling like he's under siege, and he is giving out like that. So really, if you want peace, you have to, in the end, you have to find a way to be peaceful and get peace and give peace. That's the best way to solve a situation. You continue this war, it's absolute madness. If you want to be a martyr, you could be a martyr, but you're taking a whole country down with you, and it's not necessary. I don't know if if Zelensky's a religious man or not, but I think that he needs to get religion one way or the other. It would really help him and his country hugely, as Trump might say, hugely, bigly. Pray to God, ask for understanding. Solomon was obviously a great leader. And the first thing he did when he became leader of Israel was ask God for wisdom. And if Zelensky was to ask for wisdom and to seek understanding and just meditate some as well, chill out, just chill. I mean, this sounds so crazy. It sounds so new age, but I don't mean it that way. I mean, you have to let certain things go. You can't be the war yourself. You could be a warrior, but really you can only be a warrior if you don't have the war inside. You can be a beast kind of warrior and just tear everything up, that kind of warrior. That's not a real warrior. That's a fake warrior. If you want to be a real warrior, you have to do it with a sense of calm and a sense of purpose. And you have to let go of that war that's inside you.